3 claps from Tim on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. That sounded like 4 to me.
There's only 3. There's only 3 spikes in front of me.
I'll check later on. I don't want you tampering with the waveform before I conduct a full investigation.
Oh, dear.
I know what people in Australia are like when it comes to tampering with things.
Oh, no. That's one for the cricket fans.
I don't know if I sound any different today, Tim. I've been a bit sick this week. I might sound a bit nasally. Do I sound different to you?
No. You have a lovely deep resonance to your voice. It's an improvement, if anything.
Okay, well, I should be sick more often. It did occur to me that one of my ideas today should be a podcast called Sick Day, where you only ever do interviews with people who are sick. Like, so you have a standing list of people you want to interview and you just tell them, if you're ever sick, that's the day we're going to do a podcast with you. So you only ever interview sick people. So they sound sick and they're whingy and like you just see a different side of them.
That's interesting. And they talk about how they feel, or it's more that sets the context for them talking about everything else. So
I think it would be like your generic desert island disc type get to know someone type interview.
Yeah.
But just in the context of they're sick today. That's always the gimmick and always the starting point.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Would you listen to that? We're joined by Jerry Seinfeld today, who's got a terrible cold.
It would be interesting hearing them talk about what they do when they're cold. You know, people have comfort rhythms that they go to. Like, I always have this soup when I'm cold, and I always watch this movie when I'm feeling sick, and, you know, those sorts of things. So you could explore that stuff.
What is your sick routine, Tim?
I don't think it's it really is just you kind of sleep as much as you can, and then you sit on the couch and watch. I think generally probably watch something that's a guaranteed enjoyment. So you go back to something rather than watch a new film. I don't think you're in the mood for a new film.
Well, I'm assuming you're going to be watching some 90s TV show.
Well, it'll obviously have Tom Hanks in it. Because he's the ultimate comfort in times of peril.
He's medicine in human form.
He is. He's human medicine. It's just so comforting.
What do you eat and drink? Like chicken soup? And my nan used to always give me like lemonade, like Sprite type lemonade. She actually got me Woodruff South Australian lemonade, but not even you probably don't know what that is.
I have heard of Woody's, yeah.
Woody's? Still the best lemonade made.
Okay. I don't know why. There's something about lemonade. Like, my dad used to give me lemonade as well. Why lemonade when you're sick? It seems like a when you're well, fun, happy drink.
I think because it's clear. It's got sugar in it, which is good for you when you're sick. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up.
You are.
Well, you always have lemon when you're sick.
Consult your doctor.
Yeah, exactly. These two guys on a podcast said that I should drink lemonade. Like, I'm shunning all conventional medicine in favour of Woody's South Australian lemonade because Brady told me.
That's right. Those two alternate medicine guys on podcast. Drink more lemonade. It's a bit like the Middle Ages, where no matter what you had, leeches were the answer, and nowadays it's we know it's lemonade. Leeches are useless.
I'm just going to check if they still make Woody's lemonade.
This is a local South Australian brand, is that right? Not growing up here, I don't. I've heard of it, but I'm not.
Yeah, Woodruff, a brand of soft drinks in South Australia, often shortened to Woody's. Best known and most popular flavour is lemonade, advertised for many years with the slogan and jingle, "Still the best lemonade made."
Woody's, still the best lemonade made.
Generations of South Australian mothers gave their sick children boiled Woodruff's lemonade under medical advice.
Is that what it says?
Then it says citation needed. But yeah.
That's enough for me.
There you go. Even Wikipedia says it's medicine.
But did they say boiled or warmed?
They did say boiled.
Well, as in boiled and then cooled again? Or boiled as in here's some hot lemonade?
Still bubbling with heat, yeah. Scalding their throat. It distracts you from your cold when your throat's being peeled off by red hot lemonade. Yeah.
Oh, man.
There you go. Started with a joke. I thought it was just my nan. Turns out it's a South Australian thing. Like so many things I talk about in life that I think are like true. And then I later find out on the internet that, that's a South Australian thing.
So you thought it was just your nan who was delusional with her medical advice, but it turns out it's an entire state. No, I do remember being given lemonade. I could never work it out at the time, but maybe it's to disguise you getting an aspirin. You know how they put the aspirin in the water? And so that's all physics. They're like, here's a lemonade.
Good point. I assumed like your dad was just giving it to you and saying, apparently all the people in South Australia are doing this and they all seem healthy to me.
I'll tell you, Dad you did used to make up a potion for me when I was sick. It was grounded in, I think, in a little bit more rationality, in the sense that it was basically a hot lemon. Like, it was hot water and then it was lemon and then honey. And it is basically just to make you super warm. He put a bit of grog in it as well, very tiny little amount, but I found that pretty exciting.
You know, hot water with lemon and honey is like the international thing you give people when they're sick. Like, that's like everyone in the world does that.
I do know that, but I got it from my yeah, I know that, but
But my dad invented it.
let me just emphasize how hot my father made it. I don't think you're appreciating exactly how hot this thing was. And I had to glug it all down in one go.
Ooh.
And it's sort of like, now you're going to sweat for a few days and then you'll be okay. But looking back, I probably would have just sweat for a few days and been okay anyway.
You thought he was a miracle worker, though. I'm giving you this, and in 3 or 4 days, you might get better.
You might start feeling better. That's right. It's like,
and if you do, it's because of me.
That's right. Yeah. So I just used to sweat and be under a doona and think, oh, I'm sweating it out. That's good. That's good stuff. All the badness is coming out. I'll be okay.
All that hard work and all you needed was a glass of Woodies.
I know. We could have bought it off the shelf. Yeah. And yeah, that was about it. And if you were really dying, you got to see a doctor.
How obviously is my sick day a good idea? Imagine talking to every single guest about their, magic potions their parents used. Although everyone will probably just say hot water and lemon or Woodies.
That's right. Yeah. It's basically the same thing. Well, if it works, it works. Why would you do something else? That's what
this episode of Sick Day has once again been brought to you by Woodruff's Lemonade. Still the best lemonade made.
That's right.
I so hope I can find that jingle. Woodies, still the best lemonade made.
Still the best. Wow. What is still the best lemonade made?
My comfort food is what I call a toasty. So it's basically a toasted cheese sandwich, but they're made in this, the machine that you push together.
Yeah.
And it's not the grill. It's not like a flat grill. It's one with that cross in it. So it's a token effort to try and cut it into diagonal pieces.
Yeah. I've got one. I used mine yesterday. I love those things.
Oh, there's more than one. I thought it was just ours.
I've got the second one. I've got its twin.
We sold ours at a garage sale, and I thought, well, there it goes. I'm glad someone else had the same idea. That's great.
No, I bought yours at the garage sale.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like we call it a toasty maker. But yeah, like just having a cheese sandwich, that's pretty comfort food. I like that when you're feeling sick.
How many more things that everyone in the world has are you going to think you're the only person that has?
Well, I also sometimes take a painkiller. I know.
It's something I like to call a painkiller.
Painkiller. It's something my dad came up with. It comes in a little box.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, there you go.
Should we do our proper show?
Well, yeah. What do you got?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm wondering if I should claim that sick day one as one now. But was that just us chatting?
No, I think that was that's introductory throat clearing. That is.
Oh, okay.
I didn't bring my critical lens to it.
Okay. Well, that's as good as it gets for me. But you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go with an idea which has fallen out of my head, so I'm just prolonging this introduction while I try to remember what it is. It was... yes, I know what it is. It is called Deprivation. And I think maybe this should be a monthly podcast, and each month you agree on something that you're going to deprive yourselves of, go without it for a month, and then talk about it the next time, about how you did. And these could be things like you could deprive yourself of the internet or your phone or meat. You could be vegetarian for a month, or not shower for a month, or have limited sleep for a month, or not be allowed to use your car, not watch TV, go without electricity, not consume any news, not read. So that's the idea. Depriving yourselves of something for a month and then discussing it at the end. Maybe you could keep a log during it, like an audio diary, or you could just do it and then discuss it at the end of the month and talk about how you found it, how hard, how easy.
So this is one person or a couple of people or a different person each month?
In my head, it would be the same people.
Yeah.
Like if it was, say, you and I, just the two people, the two hosts.
Yeah.
And then you reflect on your month at the end of the month.
So this is like Lent. Are you familiar with Lent?
Yes, I am familiar with Lent. This is like the sky. Do you know what the sky is?
Well, some people may not be familiar with Lent. It's a religious thing. So,
Of course, yeah, I was being flippant. I did go to Catholic schools for some of my childhood.
well, there you go. Yeah, yeah. So, for those that don't know, this is the period leading up to Easter. And in the Catholic tradition, it's common to give something up for Lent, to go without, to fast from it, and to recognise for a period of self-examination and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting, though, and I was reading about this just the other day, is the Protestant churches, so not Catholic churches, sometimes engage in it as well, like this special period of giving something up. And it could be food, or it could be meat, or it could be something, like you said, like not showering, but bathing instead, or, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, lots of non-religious people use Lent as an excuse to give something up as well, kind of like New Year's resolutions. A lot of people just say, I'm doing something for Lent just for health reasons. So
it's interesting, though, that for the Protestant churches, particularly, there's a guy called Zwingli who was in Switzerland in the Reformation period, so 500 years ago, and he demanded that, he said Lent was not biblical, it's not in the Bible, and we shouldn't do it like the Catholics. And so he famously ate a sausage, and this was like quite controversial for him to have eaten a sausage on Lent. And this sort of was a big part of what shaped Europe, the fact that people decide to eat sausages and actually take things up on Lent in defiance. And so there's this sort of Protestant tradition, non-Catholic tradition of not observing Lent, in fact, relishing in things during Lent to talk about the freedom we have as Christians rather than, the self-denial that's supposed to be part of it. But that's a whole other podcast.
in fact, they refer to Lent as a sausage fest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. So that was actually my idea, sausage fest, but we'll get to that.
I tell you what, I'm a lot more on board with Sausage Fest than I am with Lent. But anyway.
So deprivation, yeah, okay. So there's a good conversation to be had in all that, isn't there? I mean, you could give up alcohol for a month. Oh, I've got a friend that does that. It's doing that at the moment and is thinking through what that means.
I don't drink alcohol for a month all the time, though, so I'd find that one quite easy.
But isn't the point that you give up something that demands something of you, or that you feel has perhaps been disproportionately...
Let's be clear here that the idea of this is not to have some kind of Lent religious sacrifice. It's just to make an interesting podcast. So
No, I get that. Yeah. But it's not going to be interesting unless the person is denying themselves something.
Exactly.
Like if they go...
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. I could give up tomatoes for a month, but I've given up tomatoes for my whole life. So that doesn't mean anything. I hate tomatoes. So Brady, how was your month without tomatoes? Yeah, good.
It was awesome.
It's just like the rest of my life.
So that's where the other podcast would be better, where you have to take something up that you ordinarily wouldn't. It's the Sausage Fest one, where it's like, you're having a tomato fest this month.
It's Tomato Fest. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, that's kind of try something new month, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, obviously deprivation. What's something you couldn't deprive yourself of? What's something that if I said, all right, Tim, you and I are going to do a podcast for the next month, you can't have X. What was something you would say, nah, I cannot do that?
That's tough. I would find it difficult not to eat meat for a month, although I guess lots of people do it all the time, and I guess I could do it, but I think I'd really miss it. I went without coffee for a month for Lent once, but I had tea, so you're still getting a bit of caffeine, but I found that tough.
How did that affect you?
It's a little bit physically because you get more caffeine from the coffee, so you're sort of for a few days really craving caffeine, except you're still getting it from a cup of tea, but it's not as strong and not as satisfying.
Were you drinking 19 cups of tea then? Or
no, you sort of end up, balancing out a little bit. But I did have more tea. You really miss it. And then you stop thinking about it after a while. Like a month is a good amount of time to form a habit or to deconstruct a habit.
Didn't you think at the end of that month, I've done it, I should go without coffee altogether?
No, because I love coffee.
All right.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to it when I got it back. And there's coffee all around you, of course, as well. Like, there's cafes everywhere and the smell of coffee is awesome. So it is, it's more self-control, but it's physical. It feels like it's an internal struggle for the first few days, and then it becomes like an external struggle because it's just a sort of a temptation. But meat would be difficult because you're sort of, just eating veggies all the time. And meat is a big part of my diet, I guess. I'm not sure what else.
What about your phone?
Yeah, that would be tough. And I've read stats around that people feel like if they don't see or feel their phone in their hand for over an hour or for longer than, it's, you know what I mean? Like people feel physical distress signs. And
what about social media? So you can still have your phone to check your emails and make calls and texts, but no social media. no Facebook, Twitter.
We've talked about this before. I reckon that's one of those things that you think it'd be okay, and then after a while you'd be like, well, hang on a second, I wonder about that, and it'd take a little while to get past it. But every now and then I get sick of it. But you've got to have, it depends what it is, because I could give up Facebook pretty easily, but then you've got Twitter, and so you sort of feel that sense of connection and what's going on and immediate news. What about giving up the internet altogether?
I mean, I'd have to come up with some kind of solution. Work would be a problem for me because I need the internet for work.
Yeah.
If I could come up with a solution around that, that would be super hard.
It would be. I think everyone would find that really hard, not going online for a month, which is so funny when you think 20 years ago, actually going online was a relatively rare event, and just beyond that, 25 years ago, we didn't do it at all. What else would be tough for you?
I think internet and connectivity. Meat would be hard, although the other half of my household is vegetarian, so I could probably slip into that pretty simply.
Does that mean that nice vegetarian food is being prepared regularly in your home? So
yeah, not going without sugary stuff, like nice sweet stuff.
I came off sugar a little while ago, and that was hard for a few days. Like, I started consciously not having obviously sugary things, ice cream and those sorts of things. Of course, there's sugar hidden in everything, so I'm probably still getting it, but I was conscious of that for a few days.
Do you think it would be a good podcast? I mean, given the usual caveats that you've got good hosts and, it's well executed, I think it would be quite compelling hearing someone talk, or two people talk about their experience of going without something for a month in depth. I think it would be a good listen.
I think so too. Particularly if they kept notes all the way through and saying on day 4 this happened and really explained what they were thinking about. Because when you start craving something, you go to crazy lengths to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you sometimes can think about it for a long time. If you really need a coffee, it's really hard. This morning I was in a situation where I missed out on a coffee, and I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. And I started to think, I don't think I can do anything else until I get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And it's such an irrational thought. Like, of course you're a grown adult. You can just calmly sit here and wait. But I was like, no, I'll have to go off and find a coffee.
I think you're right about notes, but even more so, I think, as I said earlier, perhaps like an audio diary, things that are recorded contemporaneously, like in our previous episode with the stuff I did in Antarctica. Hearing someone talk about something as they're doing it has a certain quality to it that I think adds value. So I think you'd want to be making little audio diaries also.
Particularly if they really got into it and they were being totally honest and it was something reasonably trivial. Because,
yeah,
like some people, it's just chocolate. They've got to have chocolate and then just to hear them talking honestly.
I just buried a stash in the backyard and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was interviewing this person at work and I was looking at them and all I could imagine was a big block of chocolate. I couldn't listen to a word they were saying. Or, you know what I mean?
I just started nibbling their ear.
That's right. Looked at their briefcase. Hey, that looks like chocolate.
What's in the briefcase? Have you got chocolate in that briefcase? Open the briefcase now.
I used to smoke, and giving up smoking is very much like that. That's really tough.
Really?
And I did it a couple of times. I mean, everyone knows this, that it's the toughest one. I remember Ozzy Osbourne saying in one of those episodes of his show, that he'd done all the drugs in the world. He'd done hard drugs. And he says, but it's the smokes. It's the smokes that were the toughest to give up. It's like, wow, that's a pretty full-on thing to say. But there's also all these habits associated with it, like going outside and just getting some fresh air coming in. And
it's like it becomes a little ritual, does it?
Yeah. That's all the things you're doing without things that are part of your everyday life.
Trust me, Tim, when you found it hard to give up smoking, I don't think it was the going out for fresh air that was really, really drawing you back to them.
That's what I miss about smoking. I miss the fresh air.
I could do without the nicotine and all that sort of stuff. It's just the going outside and smelling the roses I miss.
I can't do that now. I just can't. It's impossible.
I miss it. God, I miss it. I'd give anything to be a smoker again just so I could go out there and get that beautiful fresh air into my lungs.
Get the fresh air, that's right.
You just miss looking cool like James Dean.
Yeah. But then, thankfully, I still look cool. And so that's some consolation.
You are lucky. If you had to give up looking cool for a month, that would be really difficult for you, I imagine.
Whew, I don't know how I'd do it.
I think you're doing well today. All right.
The fact that we're talking about it, and we're really enjoying talking about it, even though we don't have one particular one in focus, is a good sign.
And obviously, it's not like it's a pretty common TV format to get people to give things up, and send them to some place without electricity for a month. TV loves this format, but having it as a regular giving something up each month repeating cycle, I think could be a fun podcast. Anyway, there's my idea. Tim, let's hear yours.
Well, mine is, it's not unrelated in a way.
It's not Sausage Fest, is it?
It's called Sausage Fest. What it is, back in the Middle Ages.
Oh, great. We get to hear that story again, do we?
Super. That's right. That's a good podcast. This is a podcast idea, and you actually can help me. It's not totally formed, so help me form how this could go. But it's a podcast that's essentially I've always wanted to. So it's where a person kind of comes on and talks a little bit about the thing they've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to do this. And there are some cliche things that you kind of want to get out the way. I mean, they're big things. They're not small things, things like skydiving or whatnot. But then more interesting things. I've always wanted to do this. And they talk about why they've always wanted to do it. And then they go and do it. And they talk either through the experience and then afterwards, whether it feels strange having done the thing that they have always wanted to do, never thought they'd do. Just sort of unpacking as to why that was so important to them and whether it's actually a good thing to have done it or not. Again, it will rely on the hosts and the interest and the power of the idea. But I've found it interesting listening to conversation and how often people use the phrase, I've always wanted to. Why this one thing?
You'd have to, because I was sort of just checking through my head what things I would have on that list, and a lot of them are traveling to places. So you'd have to avoid them always being, I've always wanted to go here or see that, and you'd have to make sure they were more activity oriented. I think that would make for a better show.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice idea. I don't like the name.
No.
But I think it's probably the best name for it. It's not an easy thing to say to your friends. Whenever I think about a podcast idea, I always imagine me telling my friends about it. There's this new podcast I'm listening to called, and saying there's this podcast I listen to called I've always wanted to. And you're like, yeah, what's it called?
Yeah.
Like, idea wise, I think that's pretty solid. I think it's pretty good. What have you always wanted to do that you haven't done?
I have always wanted to record an album. I play guitar in a very amateur way, but I really enjoy it. And I would pick up my guitar almost every day. I am absolutely captivated by the art of songwriting. So I'm amazed, and I love listening to people talk about songwriting and deconstruct songwriting and how to do it. It's just such a mysterious and wonderful thing, what makes a melody beautiful and catchy and how to write a song.
I'd love to write a song.
Yeah.
Also, like, how many brownie points would it get you with like your wife if you write a song about her as well?
Write a love song.
That you'd be set for life then. Like any time you did anything wrong, like forgot to take the rubbish out or burn dinner, you just say, "Remember that song I wrote about you?"
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do remember talking to one couple where he was a musician and they would buy each other gifts for their birthday, but they had this thing where they would make a gift and she would have to go to great lengths to make things, whereas he would just write a song each time. And so it was like, that becomes like, well, you just need to write a song. That comes easy for you. Whereas I have to actually, get out the glue and the craft or, knit something or, whatever.
Yeah. I think every woman in the world wants to be married to John Legend because he wrote All of Me about his wife. Like I think every woman looks at her husband now and says, "Why didn't you write All of Me about me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why don't you love me enough to write a song about me?"
That's right.
I'm trying. I don't know music.
Well, see, there's another idea. Everyone, you got to write a song. So, hang on, this may not be as good an idea as I thought 10 seconds ago. A podcast where people come on and write songs, or at least they're with someone who helps them write a song. Or you've got to come up with a song in the episode or something like that. But that would be a very tedious hour with a minorly interesting last 5 minutes. Which is not a great recipe for a good podcast, but I don't know. There's something around that. People go, there are podcasts about songwriting itself. Anyway.
I think you're getting a bit lost here, man. Let's get back
Going back to my original idea. So what I've always wanted to do, I'd love to write an album. I'd love to record an album just once. Yeah, I'd love to do it.
Well, as someone who has released a vinyl album, do you want to ask me anything about like advice or about the experience or anything?
Well, what was it like at the Grammys? Did you go to Beyonce's after party?
You should just do it, man. Just book some studio time.
Well, that's all. Just
like jam.
Just turn up. All right, here we go. This is costing $800 an hour.
All right, let's write some songs.
Let's write some songs. There we go. A, D, G.
Maybe you need the pressure of the paid studio time to catalyze your creative process. You need that $800 an hour.
If you put me in a studio in those conditions, it's amazing how many songs I'd write really quickly. Wow, this is a double album.
Apparently that's what happened with Sgt. Pepper's. They had nothing written, but the studio time was so expensive, they just went, we've got to pull it out here, guys.
Come on, let's do something. All right, get those 4 grand pianos in here, 1 note each. So I've always wanted to. Now, there's a whole bunch of things, because I think there's people who I've always wanted to do a stand-up comedy gig, or you're right, a lot of them may be attached. I've always wanted to go to, but you could band travel.
One of the things I like about this idea, Tim, is that most of the things I imagine people doing, like bungee jumping or racing around a Formula One racetrack in a sports car or writing a song and things like that, all in themselves would also make for good audio, like a nice 5-10 minute finale where you can hear the thing being done. So I think that also is quite nice, that in most cases I feel like we'd probably be able to record a good chunk of the actual thing being done when it finally happens.
Yeah, listening to them scream all the way down from the plane.
You haven't skydived, have you?
No.
Would you?
I don't know. Once upon a time, I would have said, yes, definitely. But I'm not sure anymore. It's pretty terrifying by the looks. Have you done it?
I haven't, no. I've been scheduled to do it and it was cancelled at the last minute. I was going to skydive out of a helicopter for a work thing.
Oh, wow.
It got cancelled and I wasn't really sad.
I don't imagine helicopters go up anywhere near as high as planes. How is that going to work?
Well, they go up high enough. It was going to be with some military people from a special military helicopter. It was going to be over the racetrack in Adelaide when the race was on, part of all that. But anyway, I don't know if I'd do it now. I probably would for work purposes, for making films and stuff, but I wouldn't do it just for the pleasure.
No, I'm not drawn to it anymore. What about a bungee jump? Have you bungee jumped?
No, I think I would be less likely to bungee jump than skydive. I feel like it's more terrifying to me. I think it's more dangerous. And also I feel like you get less reward for it. It's just a pretty short, terrifying thing. Whereas a skydive, there's more of a process to it that I would enjoy and there'd be nice views. And I think once the parachute opened and you were like drifting down to earth, that would also be a really pleasant time. The bungee jumping has no pleasant time. It's just sheer terror doing something uncomfortable. And then it's like, okay, I survived it. I can now go for food.
For food. So the food is the reward. Have you always wanted to have food after bungee jumping? Is that your thing? Post-bungee food?
I want a sausage.
It's a sausage fest.
I guess another one that a lot of people want to do that they finally do is getting a tattoo.
Oh, yeah. And do you have a tattoo, man?
I do not have a tattoo at the moment, but I'm, never say never.
If you ever got a tattoo, what would you get?
Unmade podcast logo.
Definitely.
Across my forehead. It would just say Unmade podcast forever.
Forever.
It will never end. And that will be the last episode we ever do.
You're the least tattoo person I think I know. I'm not sure it'd suit you unless it was something very quirky. I imagine you'd have something science related or something like that.
You don't want something that dates. You don't want the beta video symbol or the mini disc symbol or something like that you think's good.
So you get something like E equals MC squared and then it would be disproven a week later and you'd be like, damn it. E equals MC cubed. Hang on. Can we turn that? I'm not opposed to getting a tattoo. I don't have a tattoo, but I have never thought about something. I don't like the idea of getting a cliche tattoo. And what I mean by that, no disrespect to people with tattoos, but a typical tattoo, like an oriental symbol or some sort of symbol that looks like it's made for a tattoo, something that you'd expect to find on a Red Hot Chili Pepper member.
If I was going to get an oriental symbol, I would get the name of the August Moon Chinese shop on Diagonal Road, just down near Glenelg. They do the best honey prawns. I would just get the Chinese symbol for honey prawns. Oh, that's great, that Chinese symbol on your shoulder, Brady. What does it mean? Honey prawns. You say not to get something that will date. I loved those when I was a teenager. I still love them now. And the August Moon's still open down there at Diagonal Road. It's the first place I go when I go back to Adelaide.
I don't know it. Is it on Brighton Road?
Diagonal Road.
Diagonal Road, okay.
just at the start of Diagonal Road.
Oh, okay. I don't know it.
This
I'll have
episode
to-
of Unmade Podcast is brought to you by the August Moon Chinese store down near the start of Diagonal Road.
Go and check it out. Which end of Diagonal Road? Like the Glenelg end or
The Glenelg end. There's that little knot of shops. It used to be a Bilo, but now it's some other supermarket. And there's like a stationery shop. And when I was young, and my dream job when I grew up was to work in a stationery shop, I dreamed of working in that stationery shop in that little shopping area.
because you could have stationery around you all day and then go and have honey prawns every day for lunch.
Living the dream.
Somewhere, someone is rewriting their I've always wanted to, and it's now I've always wanted to go try those honey prawns in Adelaide that Brady recommended. It's top of the
That Brady has tattooed on his shoulder.
If you loved it so much to tattoo it, people would fly. You would have people fly to Adelaide for it.
You can't tell me it wouldn't be a great talking point telling people that you have the Chinese words for honey prawns tattooed on your shoulder.
Because it looks so exotic, and they think,
Yeah.
well, that obviously means, live forever or some sort of inspirational statement. No. It says number 4, honey prawns.
You could just walk into the shop and they say, "What would you like?" And you just drop your shoulder and pull down your t-shirt, and they'd be like, "Okay."
Fair enough. We've got another honey prawns here.
There's some guy sitting reading a TV Week magazine with honey prawns tattooed on his shoulder as well.
That's right.
This episode's been brought to you by our Honey Prawns t-shirt. You are sure to turn heads and get tummies rumbling in this eye-catching garment from our Teespring summer collection. If you'd like to see more, go to unmade.fm/honeyprawns, all one word, or you can click on the link in our show notes. Seriously, we've made a Honey Prawns t-shirt. It's a different way to support the podcast, and, well, I think it looks pretty cool. This idea is called phone book, and there's a few ways it could go, but at its basic level, the idea of this is you phone everybody in a given phone book, like the white pages or the yellow pages, could be like the Adelaide white pages. You phone everyone, tell them you're making a podcast, and do they want to chat to you? And those that result in interesting chats, you record. So it's a bit like a vox pop where you go out into the streets just seeing who will talk to you and what their story is, except this one is you're phoning people in the phone book and you're methodically just ticking your way off through the book.
And you're starting, at the beginning or just randomly?
I've thought about this. I think it would be funniest to do it from the beginning. So you're just talking to lots of people starting with A to begin with. But maybe for variety's sake, you'd jump around. I also thought it would be quite fun to put a twist on it. Instead of using the white pages, to use the yellow pages. Because I think calling businesses would almost be more fun.
Oh, yeah.
When you call people at home, they feel quite intruded upon, and they're less likely to speak to you, and they're also less likely to have interesting things to say. But if you just start phoning businesses like, Bill's Plumbing Supplies, and you say, "Hey, it's Brady from the Unmade Podcast. Can I they might be more likely to talk to you because they want to promote their business, but also you've instantly got things to talk about that doesn't put them on the defensive because you're not intruding on their life. So you'd say, "So Bill, tell me what's your best-selling piece of equipment?" "Oh, it's definitely our toilet S-Ben 3000. "Why is that? Tell me about it. What's the most interesting thing you've ever seen on a job? What's the most disgusting thing you've seen while you've been out doing plumbing?" Like you'd instantly have like neutral ground as a talking point that they'd be quite comfortable talking about. So I think maybe go through a yellow pages, like pick the Adelaide yellow pages and just like ring people at random and talk to them about their business.
That's a pretty good idea. You would get a lot of receptionists. So, they'd be interesting people to talk to, but you kind of want to get past them on some occasions as well, to the people who know about
the receptionist would answer you and say, "Oh, hi." They'd say, "Hello, Crazy Dave's Pet Emporium." You say, "Yeah, is Crazy Dave there, please?" I want to speak to him about pets.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Are you going to be upfront with them straight away? This is a podcast.
Yeah.
I want to have a conversation. You're not going to try and trick them.
Yeah, hey, it's Brady from Phone Book. I ring up different people in the yellow pages and ask them about what's going on. You got 5 minutes to have a chat? You'd get, I reckon in the white pages, you'd have a 1 in 40 success rate. I reckon in the yellow pages, you'd probably have 1 in 7 success rate.
Do people have, so the white pages, is this a universal concept, this idea? Obviously, people have phone books and they get what we're talking about. Do people still have home phones?
Well, most businesses have phones.
No, I know the businesses do. It's just something that struck me.
That's true, actually. I haven't looked in a White Pages phone book for residential phone numbers for so long. I don't know what's in them anymore.
Are they still made? Are they super thin now? People obviously don't put their mobiles out there. Seems kind of cool and quaint though to to call. Yeah,
You'd probably end
on a
up
home
speaking
phone.
to a lot of old people.
Yeah. Do you? I tell you, this is another anecdote about my dad. So, do you remember when you used to call up my house on our home phone, and because my dad was older, he didn't know famous people's names, and so you would pretend to be a famous person asking for me.
That's right.
So, Dad, we're sitting at the dinner table one night, and the phone rings, and Dad, leans over and picks up the phone, and hello, and then goes, oh yeah, I'll just get him, and then he looks at me, hands me the phone, and goes, "It's Robert De Niro for you."
I forgot I used to do that.
so I got no idea. He's just totally getting on with his dinner, and I'm just losing it. I still see him now. It's Robert De Niro. They were more amenable to pranks, that's for sure, like Bart Simpson's pranks, but doing it on a mobile is a bit harder, isn't it? Anyway, the idea itself. Yeah. So talking about businesses and asking people, it'd be interesting because there's a whole range of quirky small businesses as well. So the big business is probably going to give you the runaround or not engage, perhaps.
Yeah, you're not going to ring McDonald's head office and get someone who's going to be helpful. Yeah, you want the niche businesses.
Yeah, Barry at Stacks of Slacks.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you could phone the sofa shop.
Oh, of course. Oh, that would be first on the list, surely.
They say don't you do a thing until you've seen the sofa shop. So
Yeah, that's right.
don't call another shop until you've called the sofa shop.
Don't you do a thing until you see the sofa shop.
G'day, it's Brady here again. Look, mate, it was funny the first time. The second time,
I was just going to go and visit my auntie, but I didn't want to do a thing until I'd seen the sofa shop.
Don't you do a thing until you see the sofa shop.
I've explained this week after week after week. It's just a saying. Okay?
You don't have to ask our permission every time you want to go to the toilet.
Oh, that's gold. And it just relentlessly calling. Sorry, I'm just about to do something. I just need to go shopping.
So, shall we have a final idea from you? Are you willing to tell me your final idea, having not seen the sofa shop yet?
Yeah, I feel like I want to pause at this point and phone them up. Look, I've got a whole list of ideas here, and I'm flicking between a couple. Do you want me to name two and you choose which one you want me to talk about?
I'll figure out what they are from the name, won't I?
Yeah, well, I won't do the other one.
No, well, you should save the other one.
No.
Come on, courage of your convictions here.
But the other one's not very good.
Well, I think we've made the decision then, haven't we?
I think we have. Oh, look, there are a few ideas here, but look, there is a do you ever think about, right? So sorry, it's another badly named long question, but title, but do you ever think about? And again, this is similar to my other idea. It's listening to people talking and hearing them at a particularly interesting juncture of the conversation, like when things, now we're really talking. The part that starts that interesting part of the conversation is someone saying, do you ever think about? And then talking about the thing they ever think about. So it got me thinking about what do they daydream about? Like, what do they think about and wonder and amazed when they're just not thinking about anything else? Generally, I think, talking to a couple of people about this, they wonder about something and how amazing it is. And I'll give you an example of this. One person told me today they think about trees. And they look at the trees and they wonder, I can't believe they're all growing all the time. Like, we're not thinking about them, but the trees and everything that's alive is growing all the time and advancing and growing. Now, it sounds silly, but this is the thing the person daydreams about when they're not thinking about anything else. So there's some kind of idea, I think, in there that could be interesting about do you ever think about, and the thing that we daydream and think about when we're not thinking about anything
Like,
else.
yeah, I like it. Like, kind of questions that you would never normally talk about. Like, are birds happier when they're flying or when they're sitting in a branch? Like, which brings them more happiness? Or
Yeah.
do fish dream? You know, like.
I mean, I could just answer those now for you. If you like. Sitting and no. Move on.
I would have thought flying might be they might be happier when they're flying. Or is flying like exertion for them? Like, is it like going for a jog and they're like, oh God, like you get lazy birds that don't want to fly or is flying easy for birds, like is flying for a bird like going for a walk or going for a run?
Is it hard work or is it, surely the novelty must have worn off by now.
Oh my God, I'm flying again.
Sure. I don't think if I could fly, I don't think the novelty would ever wear off. But I think it probably has for birds.
Then why wouldn't it wear off for you?
Well, I think. Well, perhaps it would.
Yeah, I reckon it would after about 10 minutes. Your wife would be like, can you fly down to the shop and get some milk, Tim? Oh, you want me to fly again? Ugh.
Flying. God, it's become, can I walk? I really...
Imagine if you became the first human who could fly, right? Which obviously would be cool.
Yeah.
But the only way you could do it would be really flapping your arms really furiously so you look really stupid. That'd be like, introducing Tim, the man who can fly. And then you like come in like flapping your arms like an idiot.
So I would finally have to choose between looking cool and flying. And I still refuse to fly because I'd rather look cool.
I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. So that's right. So you talk about that kind of stuff.
So it's sounding pretty highbrow. These are the big questions. Would you be willing to fly if it meant you had to flap your arms a lot?
I'll tell you what it is for me, or when I was young at least anyway, I used to be astonished by the fact that even people I don't know, like famous people, were doing something right now. Like, I used to think, oh, wow, like, you know, David Hasselhoff on Knight Rider.
Right now, he's doing a poo.
Well, he's doing something right now. That's right. He's like alive. It's like he's in a magical land somewhere on the television or something. It somehow made me feel closer to them somehow. I don't know. There was something about it. Like John Bon Jovi, when I was a kid, you know, was one of the coolest guys, and Axl Rose. It was like, they're doing something like right now. And it somehow felt like, oh, they're not living in a mysterious world. They're living in this world like right now. Of course, most of those people are on the other side of the world, so they're just asleep whenever I was thinking about that thing. But I remember as a kid, that was a thought that would go around and around in my head. Somehow make me feel connected to things or something. I don't know.
I often, when I'm driving along like the motorway and there are like hundreds and hundreds of cars around me, often think, isn't it amazing that all these people like are doing missions and doing their own thing and having their own lives.
Mm.
They don't even know who I am. They don't care about me. They're the center of their universe and they're thinking about the thing they're doing. And I think I'm the center of the universe and they think they're the center of the universe. I guess it's funny that the two centers of the universe are so close together at that point, but
it is, that's right.
But I also sometimes think like on a weekday when I go out driving and I'm stuck in a traffic jam, I'm always thinking, who are these people and what are they doing? Shouldn't they like be all working in factories and shops and doing things? like why are they all out in cars? And I'm out in a car.
They can't all be making YouTube clips and podcasts and stuff.
No, exactly. Shouldn't they be in a factory like making my food and in a shop selling my clothes? Shouldn't they all be out doing other things for me?
Like the Truman Show, they're all just there for you. I have heard a theory that people often think that psychologists talk about the fact we essentially live life like we're in our own sitcom, and so everyone else is like a B star, but we're the main character of our sitcom, and people come in for a little while and then they leave a little while and it's our show. In fact, I think it's in the movie About a Boy and in the book too by Nick Hornby. It talks about that. You know, you're the center of your own world and there are sort of co-stars that come and go and guest stars that come and then go, but it's all about you. And
so I send a text to Tim and I'm thinking, Tim must be so happy. He's just been waiting for the last 2 weeks to get called off the bench and have to answer my text.
I get to be part of the Brady Show.
just
It's like, I got a call up.
You were just lying dormant until then. Stasis.
Yeah, we're just sitting around in those sort of director's deck chairs, just waiting. Like,
Oh, looks like I'm up. Brady wants to record a podcast. I've talked about this before, but the one time that I do feel insignificant and I realise that I am just a nobody is when I go to a wedding of someone I don't know.
Ah, yeah.
So like I'm there because I'm a friend of a friend, or, you know, the husband of someone who knows someone, and everyone there knows everyone and I know no one, and everyone there's so happy and making speeches about these people that I don't know, and having all these reminiscences, and everyone, and I'm like sitting there at the back table on my own, knowing no one, thinking, oh my goodness, these people have like a whole thing going on here. And I'm like, no one. They don't know who I am.
Yeah.
They don't care about me. I'm not a good wedding guest, obviously.
No.
People come up to me and go, who are you? No one. I'm nothing.
Even then, you're not listening to the speech or enjoying that people's wedding. You're just thinking about yourself. And
Yeah. About how nothing I am. It's all about how nothing I am. The whole world is just about me and how insignificant I am.
What if they suddenly turned? The best man just said, well, that's enough about the bride and groom. Now the father of the bride's going to say a few words about Brady Harrod at the back. Now it's time for the toast to Brady Harrod. It's like, this is a great episode. I love this. You guys.
This is a great episode. I love the wedding episodes.
This is one of my favorites.
What was your idea again? It was some nonsense about...
Do you ever think about...
What's
a better name? Have you got a better name for it?
It's got to be like pointless questions is kind of where it's coming from, isn't it? Like, it's like really esoteric. That's what I like about it. It's like the questions the question you never wanted answered.
What we think about when we're not thinking, or something like that.
I think framing it along the thing that you daydream about on your own is wrong. I think each episode should be centered around a question that no one wanted answered.
What if you just, it was like hosted by a real wet blanket kind of person? So that someone poses their question.
I think you've got too much on your plate already, man. I don't think you can take on another podcast.
Thanks, man. I was thinking about someone else, but...
So should we end the show with an idea from a patron?
Yeah, we do. You got one lined up there.
Yep. So we've got today's patron is, I sort of choose these at random, and I've chosen an interesting one at random here. This is RJ, who is a system administrator from the San Francisco Bay Area, originally from New Jersey. And he actually points out that he has met me. I came to his rescue in Trafalgar Square when he was on a holiday in London, which is a whole other story.
Wow.
So I have actually met this person, coincidentally, via Twitter and a series of coincidences.
When you say you came to his rescue, does that mean, like, I'm picturing you with a husky dog and a rope and survival food? Like, was he stuck halfway?
I'm liking your picture much more than the reality, so let's stick with that one.
I haven't eaten for days. I'm stuck here on the lion. We'll get you down, young fella.
It did involve the lion. He wanted to have his photo taken with the lion, and he couldn't get close to it. And I think he was disappointed with his photo. And I said that I'd come and meet him and pose for some photos with him. So
no, cool.
And he says, I lived in Nagoya for a year after college in Japan, which Brady has also visited, and told us about the sumo wrestling tournament he watched there. So this email's getting a bit weird, where he's now telling me things I already know about myself. So let's skip to the part where he actually gets an idea for a podcast.
Yeah.
He says, I've really enjoyed the fictional podcast Homecoming. Definitely check it out if you haven't. So I'd like to do a mystery-type fictional podcast, but with the story out of sequence, maybe backwards like Memento, or just snippets of action from different perspectives like a Tarantino film that all come together in the end. There needs to be more of them, and we need Brady and Tim cast as the starring roles, either the mysterious villains, the secret agents who uncover the truth, or the outcast investigator that pulls the strings from the shadows like a deep throat character.
Wow.
I mean, he's dropped in Memento and a Tarantino film, so he's obviously playing to you here, trying to get you excited.
Right. He knows I'm a bit of a film buff.
Would you like to be in like a drama type, star in a audio drama?
I like the idea of it. I haven't listened to any of them, and I've had people really highly recommend some of the ones that have become very popular, where everyone's listening. There's one in particular, and I've forgotten the name of it.
I don't like them. I don't like acted audio, like either on radio or podcasts. I'm yet to hear one where I have thought this is working for me, and I have tried some.
Yeah.
I haven't tried this Homecoming one, but I think audio acting requires a lot of skill, and some of the people I've heard doing it don't have a lot of skill.
Do they have sound effects? Like, do they go all the way, or is it just different?
I think sometimes, there'll be like a knock on the door, and then footsteps, and hey, Jeff. There's something about audio acting that you immediately realize is acting.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I've yet to figure it out.
I've had people that get totally caught up in it though. Like I remember a friend was saying he and his wife were on a journey, and they just had to pull over and just stare at the radio, just going, "What is going to happen?" Just totally captivated by what was going on.
Yeah.
And even that didn't get me to. I'm a bit like you. It sounds didn't get me to engage in it.
Look, a lot of people like them, including RJ. So I can't see us making one. But if we did, I can't see you playing a villain, Tim. I don't think you could be a villain.
What?
I don't think you could be a villain.
The villains always get the Oscars.
I also can't imagine you getting an Oscar if that's any consolation.
What? Yeah, I don't know. I would want it to be very, very good before I either wanted to be part of it or release it. You know what I mean? Like it's all about the quality.
Listen to him. Yes, I'm getting numerous scripts, but it would have to be very good before I agree to do it.
Well, I guess in some ways it's a compliment to the idea, because to make a podcast like this, there's minute by minute humor, and it's interesting. You've really got to weave something much more dense and complex if you're going to tell a fictional story, particularly the kind of one that has sort of complicated plot things going on that he's suggesting.
Well, if you're listening and you have an idea and you'd like it discussed here on the Unmade podcast, why not become one of our Patreon supporters and go to patreon.com/unmadefm.
Absolutely.
It's very simple and easy.
And can I say, I really appreciate the Patreon support from those that get. If you want to get involved and do that, it's a great assistance and motivates us in the show, and is of great benefit. So thank you. We really appreciate people buying in that way. But we also appreciate everyone else just listening.
That's why you can't be a villain, Tim. You're too nice.
I am. Yeah.
You need to go, wah, I'm going to use that money to build a secret base in a volcano.
Don't you do a thing